It was a classic rivalry game today at the Breslin Center as Michigan State overcame 28 Deshaun Thomas points to improve to 5-1 in the Big Ten. Their 59-56 win was highlighted by Keith Appling's 15 points. Another negative ratio in the turnover department for the Detroit Lions in their season finale. 4 costly turnovers proved too much to overcome, and the defense just was not up to the task in getting any takeaways to help out the offense. Well, it was quite the game here at the Palace today, coming down to the final possession. Detroit with the ball. However, a lob pass to Andre Drummond failed, and the Los Angeles Lakers held on for a 98-97 win. Will Bynum, quite the spark off the bench for the Pistons with 18 points, and Charlie Villanueva connected twice from three-point range late in the game to keep things close, but in the end it just wasn't enough. After a close win at Iowa last week, Michigan State returned home today to face the Nebraska Cornhuskers at the Breslin Center, defeating them 66-56. The story of the game, Adrian Payne, Brandon Dawson, and Derek Nix combining to go 18 for 22 from the field and pushing Michigan State to 3-1 in the Big Ten. On Saturdays in the fall, Touchdown Jesus is a symbol of, well, touchdowns, especially on the campus of Notre Dame. Come January 7th, Irish fans will be praying for touchdowns when they take on Alabama in the national championship game and their vaunted defense. Arguably the biggest game in Notre Dame's search for a perfect season.
And the Fighting Irish.
There's been a certain amount of lack of aggressiveness down there just based on you have a lead, you have one of the best defenses in the country, and you're not as opposed to settling for 3 when you have a lead, it's like the last drive against USC.
The last time Notre Dame was in this position was 1988 when the Irish defeated West Virginia. What makes this year's team so special is the brotherhood they have formed off the field, which is translated to wins on it.
That's really, what we've exemplified this season was no matter what, we're going to stick together, and that's what really took us over. It wasn't necessarily about, the star players making the play and stuff like that, but, us just being together and just playing for each other.
Thinking about as he's scrambling is not just can he find him.
Brian Kelly will look to become the first head coach in Notre Dame football history to win a national championship since Lou Holtz did it in 1988. Kelly credits past coaching stops and experiences that have led him to this point in his career.
Learning on the job at Grand Valley at 28 years old, I really didn't know. I thought I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of learning as I went. All of those experiences helped me get where I was here at Notre Dame, and then there's no job like Notre Dame. So all of those experiences were great. Then you get here, and then you have to really understand the job here, and no amount of preparation gets you ready for the job at Notre Dame.
Mississippi State and Loyola of Chicago, the two teams who met at the Jennison Fieldhouse during the 1963 NCAA tournament, a matchup known as the Game of Change. Tonight, Michigan State hosting Tuskegee at Jennison Fieldhouse, commemorating the historical decision that changed race relations on a court nearly a half-century ago. First game for MSU Hoops at Jennison Fieldhouse since 1989. Tom Izzo was still an assistant. First half, Gary Harris on the fast break lays it off the glass here. Spartans' first bucket of the game. Later on in the first half, some nice ball moved by the Spartans. Finds Keith Appling, who uses a Brandon Dawson screen, and he knocks down the jumper. MSU was up 4 at this point. The Spartans kept pushing the ball throughout the first half. This time it's Adrian Payne finding Appling, who would slam it home and is fouled. Michigan State wins this one 92-56. After the game, Izzo and Tuskegee head coach Leon Douglas commented on what this meant to their program.
For me to have an opportunity to educate my young men about such an important part of our basketball history was really a milestone. And more than anything, I'd like to thank Coach Izzo and his staff for making us a part of this great event.
It was a positive being back in Breslin, or Jennison. It was a positive with our players that came back. The ovation that those Tuskegee Airmen got, the thought of what they went through, and it was kind of hair-raising on your arms, and I really appreciated our fans doing that.
Spartans in-state rival Michigan in Brooklyn today, taking on West Virginia. Wolverines get off to a hot start with Trey Burke driving, finding Jordan Morgan for the jam. Michigan out to a 13-2 lead early. Later in the first, was Burke doing it himself, this time taking it all the way. Wolverines would lead by 12 at this point, just before the half. Now Burke, messing around with the defender here, goes by, finishes with the finger roll. Michigan leading 43-32 at recess. Second half, off the turnover, the Wolverines get it ahead to Glenn Robinson, the third. he would slam it home. Michigan all smiles after this one, defeating West Virginia 81-66 and improving to 11-0. Checking out some GLIAC men's basketball scores, GVSU wins their 7th straight, going on the road and knocking off Hillsdale 67-58. Ferris State also playing away from home, only in losing fashion, falling 82-81 to Findlay in overtime. Daniel Sutherland led the Bulldogs with 20 points. On the women's side, GVSU trounced Hillsdale 84-53. Junior Danny Crandall led the Lakers with 17 points in their 4th straight win. Meanwhile, unlike the men, the Ferris State women eked out a 68-66 win over Findlay. Sarah Deshone led the way with 24 points and 9 rebounds. The 3rd-ranked Calvin women hosting St. Mary's this afternoon in MIAA play. Early going, Carissa Verkuyt with a floater, and she would get it to drop. The Knights started slow, however, trailing by as much as 7 points. But Kelsey Irwin says, "I got this." She gets the high screen from Ashley Wolfus, buries the 3. Knights were within 1. Later, Irwin fakes the pass and would create the room to get another 3-pointer. Irwin quite the spark off the bench. She hits 4 threes in the first half, finishing with 12 points. Calvin beats St. Mary's 77-56. Hope College hosting the post-exam jam, playing against Wisconsin Whitewater in the championship game. Hope's Meredith Kuzmo finds Courtney Cust, who gets the layup, putting the Flying Dutch on the board. A little later, Cust again pulls up this time and drains a 3-pointer to add to the lead. Later on in the game, Hope pouring it on. Liz Ellis breaks up the pass, gets the ball, takes it in for the layup. Hope goes on to win 63-52. NBA now, the Indiana Pacers in Auburn Hills taking on the Detroit Pistons, and Lob City has come to the Palace. Brandon Knight hits Andre Drummond, who finishes Detroit within 3. Second quarter now. Kyle Singler uses a screen, drives around Roy Hibbert for the lay-in. Pistons down just 1. There was not enough gas in the tank tonight, though, as Paul George finds another George Hill, who connects for a 3, putting the Pacers up 10 in the 4th. Indiana wins by a final of 88-77. The college football bowl season got off to a fast start today in the Gildan, New Mexico Bowl, where former Michigan head coach Rich Rodriguez guided his Arizona squad to a come-from-behind win. The day's action also featured the MAC's first bowl competitor, Toledo. However, the result was a bit less dramatic than what the Wildcats pulled off. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl on the blue turf in Boise, Toledo, and Utah State. This one was a defensive battle for 3.5 quarters. Offensive explosion in the final 7 minutes. Kerwin Williams here going 63 yards for the score. Utah State beats Toledo 41-15 thanks to 28 fourth-quarter points. The 19th-ranked Ferris State University hockey team looked to make a statement today. Last weekend, the Bulldogs were swept for the first time this season, losing a pair to Western Michigan. This weekend, the Bulldogs play just once today in East Lansing against a struggling Michigan State team. Heading to the second period with Ferris down a goal, Corey Kane fires wide. The puck comes all the way out here to Justin Binkley, who fires and scores Binkley's 3rd goal of the season, knotting the score at 1. Third period, Spartans win the faceoff. Chris Forfar sends the wrister on net, scoring State back in front 2-1. Later in the period, it's Tanner Sorensen who stops, rips the slap shot, finding the back of the net. Spartans getting their first win since November 10th. Ferris dropping their 3rd straight, 3-1 the final. Other CCHA hockey action, Michigan Wolverines taking out the Western Michigan Broncos 2-0. Michigan goalie Adam Janicek came up with 25 saves for the shutout.